Yo, what is up guys? Delboy here, aka Blue Collar Sports TV. Hopefully you guys are doing well. Another video in my heavyweight prospect series, and today we will be covering Russian heavyweight Arslanbek Makhmudov. Makhmudov is certainly an interesting prospect. First and foremost, Makhmudov, he comes from a solid amateur background. You know, he was highly regarded in Russia, and he fought some of the best boxers the amateur game has to offer. In fact, he beat Mohammad Majidov, and obviously Majidov has been one of the most standout amateurs in recent years. So, Makhmudov, he comes from a solid amateur background, plus he also had a stint in the World Series of Boxing. The World Series of Boxing is like a hybrid between amateur boxing and pro boxing. It's basically pro boxing, but Makhmudov beat the likes of Vianello and also Mihai Nistor in the World Series of Boxing. So the guy's fought some good guys in his amateur and World Series of Boxing career. And obviously now he's a professional. In the professional ranks, Arslanbek Makhmudov is now 10-0, and all of those 10 fights coming by way of knockout. He's a big lump. He's listed as 6'5.5". Usually he weighs in at around 260 pounds. So the guy really is a man mountain. You know, he's a big dude, and he really is an imposing fighter. And that's the style he fights in. He's extremely aggressive, he applies pressure, and he's got real punching power. His right hand in particular is extremely dangerous. Makhmudov has a really good chopping right hand that he throws over the top. That shot in itself carries real power, but his right uppercut in particular is a sickening punch, you know. That's really his money punch. You know, that's the best punch in his arsenal, and I'm telling you now, if Makhmudov catches anybody flush with that uppercut, they are going to sleep. That really is a gnarly shot. You know, that right uppercut from Makhmudov, look out for that. I wouldn't want to be hit by it, put it that way. So yeah, he's a really aggressive fighter, he carries power, he's physically imposing, and that in itself could lend him to going a long way. You know, don't get it twisted. There are a lot of improvements this man needs to make. First and foremost, his defense. He's a very aggressive fighter, and he comes in with his hands low, you know, and he's not the quickest fighter in the world. He's got fairly slow feet. He's not the quickest guy in terms of reactions, so that could be a problem going forwards. I would like to see Makhmudov attack behind a higher guard so he can protect himself somewhat, and also I would like to see Makhmudov use that jab. He really doesn't use the jab anywhere near enough. When he does use it, it's clear it's a good shot. It's clear that it's powerful and it's effective, but for whatever reason, he doesn't really use it on any consistent basis. He likes to lead with power shots. That's his style. That's obviously going to work the level he's fighting at right now, but when he steps up, I do believe he will need to add a bit more variety to his game, and he needs to add a few more tools in the toolbox, as they say. So, you know, Makhmudov, his defense needs to be improved. The guy's never going to be a Sugar Ray Leonard, but, you know, simple things like putting your guard up and things like that can go a long way, and especially the use of a jab. He needs to be a lot more consistent with that jab. He really does. And if he can make those improvements, this guy will be a real problem. Even with his deficiencies right now, I think the guy will still be a problem, just because he hits so hard, and he's a big dude. Very few heavyweights fight with that kill or be killed style that Makhmudov has, and with his size, with his power, that in itself could take him a long way. But like I say, with a few improvements, I think this guy could be a very good fighter in the heavyweight division. You know, he really could. So he's certainly somebody to look out for, and he really is one of the most exciting prospects in the heavyweight division. He's one of my favourite prospects in the division, so I really like Makhmudov, but I would still like to see a few improvements from him defensively and with that jab. If he can do that, then listen, this guy can go a very long way, in my opinion. And you know, to date, like I said, he's fought 10 times, he's 10-0 with 10 knockouts. He's not exactly fought a murderer's row of competition, but he's fought a few well-known journeymen, and he's knocked these journeymen out, and these journeymen never actually got stopped prior to fighting Makhmudov. I'm talking about guys like Jonathan Rice, who went the distance with Tony Yoka, and also Avery Gibson, who managed to go the distance with Michael Hunter, and also Simon Keane, a heavy punching Canadian prospect. So these guys had chins, and Makhmudov was the only guy to stop these guys. So that really shows what his power is about. It is real. His punching power is real. How far can that take him without making the improvements I mentioned? Who knows, but one thing I can say, it's certainly going to be a very fun ride watching this guy fight. He's based out in Canada, so hopefully he's got access to good sparring, and hopefully he gets exposed to Western TV audiences, because like I say, this guy really is a fun fighter. And as for his developments, his next fights, etc., like I said, he's 10-0 with 10 knockouts. He's 30 years old. I think you can now start moving this guy forwards and, you know, having him fight slightly higher levels of competition. Maybe for his next fight, throw him in there with a Bogdan Dinu type of opponent, you know, somebody along those lines. Maybe, you know, somebody like Andrei Rudenko, Alexander Ustinov, Alexander Dimitrenko, you know, people like that, those type of fighters. And then after that, have gradual step-ups and try and go through the heavyweight rankings. But, you know, Makhmudov, certainly a really interesting prospect, a Russian fighter based in Canada. He's actually trained by Mark Ramsey, who I think is a really good trainer, by the way. I think Mark Ramsey also trains Oscar Rivas, so hopefully those two are sparring and getting good rounds together. But yeah, Makhmudov, a really good prospect in my opinion, extremely exciting, big puncher. If you don't know about him, you really should do. Check him out. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Tell me what you think of Makhmudov, and if you haven't seen him, like I said, check him out. Peace.